everyone. It is the 12th of October, and welcome Leo from Lightning Rod Labs. Think?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. And so my context is Eric Harris Braun either on a call or messaged me and said, you've got to talk to Leo. He's building some really, really, really interesting things. And he's got an amazing deliberation tool. I think so. And here we are. So yeah, Leo, tell me a little bit about yourself. It's great to meet you. I'm very excited.
I'm excited too. I have been working on some tools for a few years now with the goal of helping any group of people, even just an ad hoc friend group or something, to be able to coordinate and create some sort of coherence and act on their goals without having any sort of structured or centralized decision-making system or leadership structures. So I've built a handful of tools to help toward that end, and I've started recently to rebuild versions of them with Holochain.
Amazing. And how did you find out about Holochain, and why would you even bother rebuilding them in Holochain?
Well, I've known about Holochain actually since the early days, just because I sort of have been acquainted with Eric, and I heard about it early on. I thought it was interesting, but I came back to Holochain with my software because I was running into an issue where I wanted to serve my tools to groups that wanted private hosting, and they didn't have necessarily funding to pay for servers, and they wanted just their own in-network software that they didn't have to worry about some sort of company controlling their data or controlling their flow.
So, and that was the basic, yeah, okay. That was
Yeah, that was
basically feedback from groups. You're like, I built
yeah,
something cool, and like, that sounds great, but we don't want to have to provide infrastructure for this, and we don't want to go and like have it on the cloud,
yeah, exactly.
basically. Interesting. And so you're like, oh, okay, well, I've known Eric for a while. I should check out Holochain.
Pretty much.
Awesome. Okay, cool. And so when you describe to the groups, like, okay, I've found a solution to that, or like I'm using Holochain or whatever, I guess they just said, oh, that sounds great. We'll use your tools.
I haven't brought my tools to any groups yet to use them, because it's just sort of a hurdle to actually use Holochain in its current stage. A lot of these people are not necessarily tech savvy, and
Yep.
downloading two things at once might be two steps too many.
Yeah. So, okay, yeah. Okay, perfect. Well, yeah, I know that by the time this is out as well, there should be an article about what you're doing on the Holochain blog, I think, or coming up somewhere. But I mean, do you want to kind of share the main thrust of the article as well before we go in and look at what you've been building?
Yeah, you just want me to go over sort of the
I don't know. I mean,
motivation?
you don't have to. Yeah, maybe just a couple of the key points.
I guess I was motivated by working with a lot of different groups with different structures, and feeling really disappointed with a lack of easy ways to coordinate. It's
Yeah.
sort of a really big problem. Um, but groups that have no systems often are extremely chaotic, and they'll go through endless debate or argue about what their system even is, and often fail to accomplish anything that they want to accomplish. And that can be like a huge hurdle for forming any sort of, whether it's a friend group that wants, like a study group, or if it's an activist group, or someone trying to do a startup. And then there are lots of organizing systems that people will try out, but I don't know that I'm happy with any of the ones that I've seen. Whether they're traditional hierarchies or more like democratic co-op-y systems, or even consensus-based models, I think there's a core conflict between the number of people in a group and the ability of that group to actually coordinate on anything.
Okay. Yep.
So I experimented with different organizing structures, and I started developing software that could sort of streamline the process of creating a basic kind of set of just like a shared language almost, to allow for people to organize with each other at will. And it's a way of organizing that doesn't necessarily require one single group understanding or one single group decision, but it can account for potential conflict in a group, and try to mediate that conflict and build toward consensus, if not create complete consensus.
Sounds ideal for families. I should try it out with my kids.
Yeah.
They are asleep now, though. So I can't bring them in. Very interesting. Okay, well, I feel like we should play around with something then.
Sure.
Okay, so we got this warning for everyone watching. We did run launcher and check that everything was working in launcher first. So what do we want to play?
We can look at the Who's In app first if you like. It's simpler.
Yep. Do you want to share your screen, or do you want me to share my screen?
Why don't you do it? I'm just getting in the app right now.
Okay. All right, here we are. Yep. Can you see my screen?
Yeah.
Awesome. Okay. Welcome to Who's In, collaborate with strangers or friends. So how it works: think of an action or event, explain all necessary roles, invite people to fill those roles, don't act unless roles are all filled. Okay, so I create a new action here. Start an action.
So it could be anything from you want to host a party, or you want to
have my kitchen clean.
Your what? Your kitchen clean?
I want a clean kitchen at the end of the day.
Yeah, absolutely. You want to clean the kitchen and you want multiple people to be involved?
Oh my God, yeah, sure do. And at the end of the day, it's lovely to have a nice clean kitchen. Okay, title.
So a role is just a function that someone might play.
Like dish
action
cleaner.
Yeah.
Cleans dishes and puts in rack dishwasher. Min.
So this is the minimum number of people that you would want for that role.
2. All right.
And you can add another role if you want.
Yeah. Dish putter awayer. Away dishes that are cleaned and dry. Cleaned. Yep, I think that is cool. Dish dryer. Give dishwasher not used. Dry dishes. 1. Okay, so bench wiper. Get all those food scraps off the bench. Wipe it clean. 1 is good there. food, butter, awaya, anything left over, and condiments and sauces, and salt and oils go back in pantry. I think like we can do pot scrubber. I'm having too much fun, aren't
I mean, yeah, sure.
I? Give lots of people over have a pot scrubber. One is good. And room.
You're gonna need a lot of people.
Oh, it can be the same. It can be overlap though, can't it?
It can be the same people, yeah.
Yeah. Put away cushions and chairs, and maybe even vacuum. Okay. Great coordination. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I love it already. At me.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Who's in? So now what do I do? How do I tell you about this? Or someone else?
So
This is
I'm in the
so
app
good.
right now, and I'm if you click that, if you go to the top and you click that microphone, it'll show up there, and it'll show up for me. So I see it on my machine, and I'm gonna add myself to dish putter aware.
It's a great role.
And if you go into the
Here we
action,
go.
there I am.
Yeah. Okay, that was up to 2, so you can add me 2.
Yep.
Sweet.
And if every role is filled to at least the minimum required number of people, then everyone involved will get just a notification saying this action is ready, it can happen.
Yep.
So you could, I think these all have one minimum, so you could just add yourself to everyone and see that.
Yeah, okay, I'll do that. They all have one minimum.
Just give it a sec to figure out what's going on. Oh, oh, you got a note. You got several notifications. That might be a bug, but you at least got notified.
Yep. The action.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Yep, I got my notifications.
There you go. That's pretty much the whole app.
Sweet. 8 committed. Okay. So then I can see all the things and okay, cool. Yeah, I like it. I can see how yeah, you can see how building on this a little bit is going to be very, very powerful.
And you
Simple
can use
but
this.
powerful, isn't it?
Yeah. That's kind of the goal with all of these tools, is to make them as simple as possible so that they're intuitive.
Yep.
But they also have to serve a sort of unique function that people aren't used to software doing.
So what's the unique function here?
The unique function is sort of this concept of there being a threshold of participation. So the idea is, if you, because in a ad hoc group of people with no agreed upon decision making structures, there's no way of knowing when a decision has been made. You can't say this thing is happening and it's valid and we're going to be there until people actually say, yes, I'm going to be there.
Yep.
You can't just tell people to be there.
Yep.
There's nobody in charge. So you suggest something, you suggest cleaning the kitchen, and you say, here's the minimum number of people we would need for this to be worthwhile. And then if people sign up, then it happens.
I want to go have a picnic and you just put it out to your friends. But what you put out is everything that's required to make it happen. And so it's not like, yeah. It's basically if you get the signups for the required activities, boom, the picnic's happening. And if you don't, the picnic doesn't happen.
Exactly.
Yeah, okay. I mean, this is also like for more explicit things though, right? Like I'm dealing with the planning committee at the moment in the local area, and it's almost the same thing, isn't it? It's like minimum 4, maximum 12 for a recommendation to be made. The planning officer puts all the details up, specifies the number, you gate the participants.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
Yep. You could be for ongoing systems as well. You could say we want to form a weekly group meeting, and we need like a note taker and a facilitator and whatever, and this is just going to be an ongoing there's going to be ongoing roles, and it could have maybe an end date if you want, but it wouldn't necessarily just be a single action. It would be a consistent agreement that persists.
It really makes sense. I mean, I'm thinking back. I mean, I don't know what like work culture looks like, because the last time I guess I worked in more of a traditional office setting was like end of 2016, early 2017. So a little while back. But one of the things that would happen across in companies that I'd been part of, or was across a spectrum of employees or contractors, you would have people with differing levels of power and influence, and I guess different capacity to be able to express themselves. And so, depending on who would run a meeting, for example, someone will be very comfortable soliciting participation, and someone else would feel terrified of any participation whatsoever. But actually, use something like this, and you've got the agreement on roles in a meeting, for example, then you would just jump in and you'll be like, okay, so because weirdly, like in culture, would often be like, oh, the someone who is assertive would have good contribution in a meeting, and someone who wasn't assertive, more quiet, would have no contribution at all. But actually, here you just, well, like, hey, we've got an agreement. Like all meetings should have roles, or whatever it is. Well, these are the kind of things we want to do in the meeting, and then you can just come. I really, really like it too, especially potentially to support different dynamics and different personality types.
Yeah, it provides a level of clarity that's often lacking in
Yep. Yep.
in many organizations.
Yes, but yeah, you're surfacing. Yeah, I really, 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 really like it, because you're essentially surfacing the things that would often be unsaid through this process, which is, I guess, one of because you're dealing with the explicit, but the explicit is often verbally dealt with anyway. But you're also trying to, through this process, surface the implicit, I guess.
Yeah, like what kind of implicit things are you thinking? I mean, there's there are a lot of implicit sort of expectations in this kind of situation. Like, I mean,
So yeah, so okay, so like doing the kitchen, right? The difference, if I wasn't using this tool, then what's really happening is, so if I'm using a board or something, it's too much space. You want to just keep, and if we're not using a board and it's all verbal, it's easier to just assign a single role to a person, because otherwise all the visual clues are overly complicated. So it's like one of us does the bench, one does the dishes, one unstacks the dishwasher, one maybe cleans and vacuums. But actually, it's not a really good distribution of work, that system, at all. It's just that our coordination tool, which is verbal agreement, is best suited to a single role for a single person. So if I was sitting with this, and this was sitting, this was on a computer in the room. We could all go look at it. We could look at all the roles. We could sign up to the roles, and then we all see our own view. And then it's like, oh, I've got an agreement with the system. So this is making the system explicit, which makes these other so what was implicit before was like there are a series of roles that's beyond us, that's beyond a one-to-one allocation. And maybe implicit was all like David does this, right? As well, because that is a consequence of that, and that's the explicit role. But 5 doesn't go into 4. Anyway,
Yeah.
I can see this
Yeah,
being
exactly.
very, very,
It'll
very
to
useful.
be more nuanced with your strategy,
Yes.
because you're able to include so much information.
Yeah, exactly. And equally, you could have clean kitchen and different people are suggesting different roles and there's no uptake of those roles. And that's a good feedback loop that actually it's not, no one's taking this seriously. The role is important, etc. Or, or it's like the suggester is destined to fulfill that role. Okay, cool. I would love to play with this. Who's in?
Yep. And you don't have this version running right now, but there's a version of this app that can take a phone number and send you a text when the action is ready.
Yep, perfect.
And these yellow bars here, that's a progress bar. They just went up to 100% because there is a minimum of 1. But if there's a minimum of 2 and you add yourself, it'll go to 50%. That sort of thing.
Amazing. Yep. Okay, cool. Should we look at the other thing?
Sure.
Okay, I've got my Holochain launcher, and now I've got who's in, which was DCAN,
yeah.
and now
And
we're
then
going to look at
Converge.
Converge. So I'm gonna just go to crazy, isn't it? This is like the other thing. Just thinking, oh, there's all these applications, and I just install it and run it, and I've got the Holochain version. I can see the sizes. Launcher's looking good. But I am running an old version. Okay, so I got to Converge here. Where's Converge? Here it is. All right, amazing. No deliberations found.
Not yet.
All right, so what do we know now?
So if you want, you can start a new deliberation. This is essentially a tool for forming consensus, building consensus. It's a little more complex, but the basic idea is any decision that might have disagreement, or even just might have different options, and you're not sure what's the best option. It's a process for coming to a single solution collectively. So you could start a new deliberation and we could walk through it. Do you have an example of maybe a question you might have with your household?
Deliberation. Okay. Is a question that I have? Yeah, sure. How do we create why does life seem so busy? Surely there are moments of
Well,
time to all
it needs to be a question that can have a solution.
That's okay.
Like, okay.
Surely there are moments of time to all hang out together.
Okay. So you want to find out how to hang out more with your family.
Yeah.
Okay.
Be playing games. You know, I guess, hey, I don't want to, yeah. Okay, create deliberation. Why is that? One, want to find out how to make it go.
Oh, interesting. The formatting is different on a Mac. Oh, okay. Well, so so the first step is to add criteria that you can evaluate a solution against.
Yep.
That could be, I want it to be an environment where we can focus on one another, maybe, or it could be,
Okay, I just had criteria. Okay.
yeah, it could be, I want to accommodate our busy schedules, or like,
Okay. Yeah, let me think of it. Why is let's think?
or it could be
Okay.
more specific. It'd be like,
Yep.
must
Okay. So
happen
the
on
first thing is,
days.
how do we make sure? So add a new criteria. Oh, I know. Okay. So when we all arrive home, make sure things are calm.
That's like, I think that's more of a solution than a criteria.
Oh yes, that
Maybe.
is. Oh, okay. No, okay. I get you. So a criteria might be 3 times a week we all hang out after dinner and dishes, something like that, right?
That to me also seems kind of like a solution. It could be a criteria that you might add, but a, a a good criteria for this kind of decision would be a little more vague. Um, the idea is to create criteria that can be uh, um, as universal as possible, in that they won't have objection.
Okay.
The proposals might have objection, but the criteria is where you kind of want to start with your consensus building. So you try to think of something that's specific enough that it can be evaluated, but broad enough that it's not too objectionable.
Okay.
Maybe this fine. Maybe everyone would say yes 3 times a week. That's a perfectly reasonable criteria, and everyone agrees. But it seems a little specific.
Okay. So it might be reading. It might be something like reading in front of the fire, or is that still a solution? No, because we have to agree. This is a
I think
complex one.
so. I would say maybe something like, um, the solution should allow us to, uh, or the time when we hang out together should be over an hour, or the time should be in the house, or
Yep.
or by the fire could be its own criteria. But
Yeah.
um,
In the house. Yeah. Okay. Let me just so outside in the garden is a good one. Great
okay,
criteria.
yeah,
Something like that. In front of the fire
these are
after dinner.
all still a little bit,
Yeah, I know.
like they're going
Failing
to be,
it. I'm failing at this.
you're being controversial within your own set of criteria, which is okay for a demo. But like, if you add a criteria and you support it, that would mean that you actually think this should be a criteria that every proposal should meet. So you, as a single individual, probably wouldn't say that you think it should simultaneously be in the garden and in the house.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yes, although I'm not treating the criteria as exclusive. Okay, this does make sense.
The criteria are things that are really important to you for any proposal.
Yeah. Okay.
So if it's really important that the shared
Okay.
time.
I think. Oh, whoop. Okay. How do I get rid of a criteria? I can't yet.
You don't need to get rid of them. It's okay for them just to
Okay,
exist.
understood. All right. So so um all everybody is included.
Sure. That'd be a good criteria.
Yep. That's very important for me.
Okay.
Yep. And then another criteria, if we are doing something, we don't always, we are not always doing, okay, I don't know. So it's like it's okay to do what I want or to do what someone else wants or something like that. You know what I mean?
Is that something that you could evaluate a proposal against? I'm not
Yes, I
sure.
think so. Yeah, exactly. Because someone might say, I want to do it outside. I like once a week we would hang out outside. And then you say, okay, hang on, that's not what I want, but I want to also, so what we're trying to get to is also the option of like how we hang out doesn't have to be consensus. It can be we support what someone really wants to do.
How about then you could phrase it just in a way that makes it slightly more clear how
Yep.
to evaluate it. You could say something like, um, the proposal accommodates every multiple interests, or the the
Oh, okay.
proposal.
Yeah. Okay, like maybe it's like across all greed proposals or something like that. Um, everybody's interests are accommodated.
Yeah, I mean that could be.
So I think we just say accommodated.
It might be tricky depending on the family to know whether a proposal accommodates everyone's interest. You would have to know what those interests are. But if you do, then yeah, you
But
could.
if we're all playing, surely then we let's go to a proposal, right? At a
Yeah.
proposal. Yeah, Friday night we go out for dinner. That was yeah, one. Another proposal is read in front of the fire Sunday PM. Proposal stop TV watching on a Sunday night and play Scrabble. Those kind of things.
Yeah, those kind of things.
Yep.
And
Okay.
there's only one supported criteria right now, so that's the only one you can evaluate. But if you add more, there will be more options.
Holy man. Yeah. Okay, cool. Now let me go back to my criteria. Included. So I'd
Yeah,
have to
everybody
go to
interests are
here
accommodated.
and then back to my proposal.
There you go.
And then this is, this takes a little bit of work. It's very cool. Oh my God. Okay. So let's go. Ah. Get out of the house on time in the morning. Yeah. Why are we always running late? Okay, so then it would be, yeah, this criteria is um, leave us 7:45 a.m. All
So
bats and lunch and snacks packed. These kind of things.
yeah, so I just added my own criteria. Oh,
Ooh, click
it's
to
a
refresh.
different. It's to the other one. Sorry.
To the other one, to the other one. How do I go back to that deliberation? Here, I go
Here, you know
back
what?
to the
I'll go to
board.
this quick.
No, no,
I'll add
no,
one.
no, 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 no. This is
Okay.
great.
Yeah.
Involve.
So
Oh, it's like my youngest son. Everything involves music.
yeah.
Proposal. Listen to youngest son's Spotify playlist and dance. Yes.
Now, someone else might say not want music to be involved in this activity. And so if you if you go back to the criteria,
Yep.
say you don't like that one. If you hit the little arrow on the side, no, yeah, over,
This one. Yep.
uh-huh, you can comment on it, or you can actually object, which does something. Um,
Okay. So
so
objection. Okay.
if you just start typing an objection and then you click submit comment as objection. Okay, well that's just a comment, not an objection, so that's fine. Yeah.
Okay. There was a comment. Okay. So I want to object.
Oh.
Oh, so okay. Songs need to be approved by family music committee or cannot participate.
Okay, sure. So I
This is wild.
I'm gonna now respond.
Because what you're doing, my God, what you're doing is you're taking all these things which actually work really ineffectively in a formal decision making process, and you're making this like semi-synchronous, semi-asynchronous system. Because I could get home at the end of the day and the kids will be like, "Oh, that's interesting. Why is there an objection?"
You added an objection.
Yeah.
Yeah. So now if you scroll up and reload,
Yeah.
there should be or yeah, if you just go back in there.
Yep.
Um
3 comments.
go to the comments.
How
You
do
have
I,
to
how do
click the arrow
what?
on the
Oh,
right.
click the arrow here.
I add an alternative. Now, if you're already supporting this criteria involves music, say, like
Yep.
if go ahead and just not there. Go ahead to the top and slide up to a certain amount of support.
Yep.
Now you have the ability to transfer your support to my alternative criteria.
Oh wow.
So if you scroll down now,
Okay.
you've added yourself to
Oh,
my
that's cool. That's cool. That's
option.
cool. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, so it's asynchronous, right? It can be. You can set a time and do this process all at once and make sure that it gets done, or you can do it throughout the day or throughout the week if it's not important that you come to a decision immediately.
This is really cool.
And yeah, the idea is at the end, or just in an ongoing way. It's there's not really an end to this process, but
No.
it's a way of finding the most supported proposals. And if you go and evaluate one, or maybe I go and evaluate one and say, hey, I don't think it actually does meet some of these criteria, then the score will go down.
Yep. Yeah. This is really interesting. Wow. This is quite there's a lot going on here, isn't there?
Yeah. And there's a little bit of like mathematical algorithms
Yep.
in the back end making that score, but it's basically just how many people supported the criteria and how many people objected. That goes into a weighting system for how much that criteria contributes toward the overall score of a proposal.
Yeah. What's the difference between the list and the megaphone? All deliberations and I got it. And deliberations I've joined. Very nice. Okay, amazing. So what's next?
There's improvements I want to make to both apps. And then there's a third piece, a third app that I want to bring to Holochain. And all three of them are designed to be interoperable, which is also something that Holochain is very nice for.
Yeah.
Um, the last piece is a long-term strategy building tool.
Oh,
I
interesting.
don't have a demo ready, but essentially you add long-term goals that you have, and you can add other people's goals to your goals, and they can
That's
be
cool.
listed kind of in a tree. Um, and then you can attach these deliberations to goals, and people who support that goal will see the deliberation and say, hey, we're now working toward this goal. Or you can take an action and attach that to a goal.
Yeah, this is
um,
very cool.
and then the third thing you could do is take an action and attach it to a proposal on a deliberation. So if you create a deliberation, you can sorry, if you create a proposal on a deliberation, you can say this proposal is actually an action. Um, and if you like this action, then it gets to a certain score, then maybe we'll actually try to achieve this action.
Yep, 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 yep. Okay. Um, well, okay. Well, there's a few things I can see that's worthwhile experimenting with this, but yeah, I mean, when that comes online, I would love you to just ping me, and I'd love to play with it and record playing with it, and then yeah, and then all three together, and then in the meantime, I feel like I should just get this set up on a couple of devices around the house and have us play as a family, and um, in a few weeks get you back on and tell you some of the results.
Yeah, I'd love to hear how that goes.
Amazing. Well, Leo, anything else you wanted to share or cover?
I can't think of anything.
Okay, awesome. Well, thank you so much for coming on. That was, yeah, really interesting. Sorry for everyone for boring you with my family dynamics. And I'll let you know how the clean kitchen goes. But yeah, incredible. It's amazing. I'm just so, I love it because it looks so simple when you first like create an action or create a deliberation. But then as you go through the steps, actually there's this whole unfolding of social complexity, which mirrors real world behavior. Um, Rather than the opposite, where I'm exposed to a series of complexity at the start and I spend more time working that out and it doesn't mirror anything that's happening in the world whatsoever. So yeah, I really yeah,
I'm
can't
glad
wait to
it feels
play
that
that.
way, because that's definitely the goal,
Yep.
is a level of intuitiveness.
Yeah.
And so it should be able to just fall in your lap and you say, okay, we're organizing now without training.
Yep. Amazing.
Yeah.
Superb. Okay. Well, thank you so much. Can't wait to explore the strategy tool and more.
Thanks.